Hello everybody, today I'm here to do my October wrap up. So if you didn't know, at the beginning of this month I did a TBR and I called it my spooky TBR. This month I dared to read pretty much all spooky books. Now necessarily, they weren't all spooky books, they just kind of fit October for me. Some were kind of mysteries, some were kind of thrillers, some were downright scary, and some were just kind of in the October feelings for me. So I wanted to tell you how I did in my spooky TBR, if I did great, if I did good, did I do horrible. We're just going to talk about all the books that I read this month. So the first book I read was not on my spooky TBR at all. I wasn't planning to read it. I got a copy through Penguin for the listening library, so I listened to it, and it is Jojo Moyes' newest book, and it's called Paris for One and Other Stories. So this is pretty much a book full of short stories that Jojo Moy wrote, and if you don't know, I love her. I love Me Before You. I love 1+1. I've read 4 of her books total, and I just had to listen to this one, and I did really enjoy it. I will say the first short story is the longest. I didn't read it, so I don't know how many pages it would say, but I would say it garners like a good half or at least a quarter of the book, and I really loved that first short story, and that's the Paris for One. I really loved it. That's what made that book for me. And after that first big short story, there was several really short stories, like pretty much what you would get in, like, if you have a book full of short stories that's only like 30 or 40 pages, I would say. There were about 7 or 8 after that, and those were all kind of mediocre for me. Some I liked, some I didn't like, but overall, I really liked the first half of the book. That first short story really made this book awesome, and I really like listening to it. Overall, I'd say if you're a contemporary fan, definitely check it out. I gave this book a 3 out of 5. I liked it. I didn't love it. The only really redeeming factor for me was that first short story, because I would, if that was a full novel, I would love the mess out of that. I wish it was. I wish that whole first short story was elongated to the whole novel, because I think it would have been even better. Like, I love that first short story. I would say pick it up alone for that first short story. Moving on to my actual spooky TBR, the first book I read for that is With Malice by Eileen Cook, and this was definitely a letdown. This is a mystery book about a girl that goes on a trip to Europe for class, and then she wakes up in a hospital like a month later, and she can't recall what happened, and her best friend's dead, and she's being investigated for murder, and you're pretty much trying to figure out, like, you know, what happened. Did she kill her friend? Did she not? It just wasn't, it didn't have enough oomph for me. Like, it just felt lacking. I liked that it was on Facebook a lot, and it had comments, and you would see what other people would say about the situation, like classmates and stuff. I did enjoy that, but other than that, I felt like kind of the ending was just kind of a letdown. The whole thing was just kind of boring. I didn't really like it. It was just, I don't know, it really wasn't a mystery for me. I didn't really even care, because the two main characters both had really big faults, and I were just like, I want to like you, but I really don't. So I would say maybe skip this one. I just didn't enjoy it. I wanted more from it. I really did. So overall, I gave this a 2 out of 5. I was really quite disappointed with it, if I'm honest with you, and that's okay. Not every book I'm going to read is going to rock my world, but I just didn't really like this one. The next book I borrowed from the library, and this is Slasher Girls and Monster Boys, 12 short stories edited by April Genevieve Tricolte. I hope I pronounced that right, probably didn't. But this is a book literally about short stories, and they're all creepy, and I've done a whole review on it. If you want to check it out, I'll link it right here, where I broke it down with each story. I rated it, like, you know, what the creepiness factor was. I really enjoyed this one. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, but I have to say I liked more of the stories in this book than I disliked. There was like 2 or 3 that I just fell in love with. There are a couple of duds in here, but I'd say there were more good stories than bad, and there were some creepy ones in it, so I am proud that I read it. I am actually surprised I read it, because some of them were downright creepy, and I was like, ooh, I'm kind of scared to go to bed tonight. But overall, I really liked this book, and I'm so happy I read it. I gave it a 4 out of 5. The book I read after that is also from the library, and that is In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. This is my second Ruth Ware book, and I didn't really enjoy it. The other book I read by her was The Woman in Cabin 10, which I did enjoy. It wasn't my favorite. This is another mystery / thriller about a follow main protagonist who gets invited to a hen party out in the woods with a girl, with one of her best friends, or her ex-best friend, I should say, that she hasn't really talked to in 10 years, and some mischief, some insane things happen, and a murder happens, and you're getting it told in present tense from her waking up in the hospital and her trying to figure out what happened on the hen weekend. And I was really disappointed with this one. Again, the ending was a letdown. That was my biggest thing. I didn't like the ending. I just felt like it was a big lead up to kind of nothing. And I also didn't like the characters in this book. They were just all kind of horrible. I did a horror review on this one as well, so if you want to check that out there, definitely check it out. I just didn't like it. I wanted more from it. Overall, I wasn't a big fan. So my second 2 out of 5 this month. I'm sad, but it happens, you know? Not every book I read is going to be a 5 star. As much as I want it to be, it's not going to happen. The next book I read was Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. This is another mystery / thriller. This book was okay. I was expecting to really love this book because I've heard so many amazing things about it. Even some of my friends at BookTube really, really love this book. I liked it. I didn't love it. I will say it took a while for it to get really good. Like, it took a little bit more than half of the book. Then it got really interesting fast, and the ending was really great, but overall it was just an okay mystery thriller for me. I just found it to be kind of slow paced and slow burning, which, if that's your thing, this might be the perfect book for you, but for me, I don't know. When I read mystery and thrillers, I need to be like enthralled the whole time. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I don't know. And overall, I liked this one. I didn't love it, so this one kind of fell in the middle of the pack for me, so I gave it a 3 out of 5. The next book I actually listened to, and this is not a part of my spooky TBR. Again, a good surprise from the listening library from Penguin, so I love Penguin for making me a part of their listening library. It is just awesome. I listened to Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult, and I love this one. This is easily my favorite book of the month, and I wasn't even planning to read it. This is a book about, quite simply, racism, and that's definitely a bitter pill to swallow because it is a very, controversial topic, and it's very relevant in today's society and really any society in the past and forward. It follows, 3 different narratives in this book, and I listened to it, and it was so awesome. So it was really awesome to familiarize yourself with each of the 3 narrators. I highly, highly recommend listening to this. Follow an African-American woman named Ruth who has been a labor and delivery nurse for over 20 years. She goes onto her shift just like any other day, and her patients are white supremacists, and they request that African-Americans touch their baby, and through a chance of events, it so happens that Ruth is left alone with the baby. The baby goes on cardiac arrest, and she performs CPR against, what she's told to do, and I'm not going to tell you what happens after that, but pretty much a legal thing happens, and we get introduced to another narrator, Kennedy, who is her lawyer, and it is just literally an all-out battle in the courtroom about a really intense book. Like I said, this is definitely a bitter pill to swallow because it makes you think about racism. Like, am I a racist? What do I do? And you think of your life events and how you could be better and how you could be different, and it's just really an awesome book to read. Jodi Picoult tells a good narrative. Like, she will quickly put you into the story. I was thinking about this book so much when I wasn't listening to it. If you want me to film a separate review on this, I definitely will because I feel like I'm going a little bit lengthy on this, but overall, an amazing, very, very thought-provoking book. Let me know if you want a review on it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I highly recommend everyone read it / listen to it. It was phenomenal. The next book I read is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Yes, I finally read it. Yes, I just feel like I'm going to pat myself on the back because this has been like a year coming. This is the first book in a duology. The second book just came out, so I definitely had to read it this year, and I'm very glad I did. I do have a review coming up for this very, very soon, but overall, I loved it. I will say there was a few problems with it. My main problem was that it took a while for me to get into. I'd say the first half was really kind of slow for me, and then the second half came, and I was totally invested in it, and I read it super fast, and I just wanted more and more and more. But this is a very character-driven book, so if you're looking for books that just really go into detail about each character and their backstory, this is the book for you. This is so character rich, which really made the book amazing because you have 6 main characters that are going to this heist, and it was all just awesome. I gave it a 4 out of 5. The only reason for that is because I felt like it took me a while to get into, and if I would have gotten into it a little bit earlier, I definitely would have given it a 5 out of 5 because I did really, really enjoy it. But like I said, I do have a review coming up very, very soon. And the last book I read, well, I haven't finished it yet, but I am filming this a couple of days before October ends, so I do plan to technically finish it before October ends. You gotta film a little bit early. And that is 3 Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. Like I said, I only have this much to go through, so I'm definitely gonna finish it in 2 days, no problem. I will say I am really enjoying this, and I was kind of worried about this one because I've heard very mixed things on Goodreads about it. Some people really liked it, some people didn't like it. It is kind of a slow burn book, but it's not the type of slow burn book that I mind. This is all about 3 sisters who are triplets, and they're each separated, and pretty much at age 16 they have to kill another. Whoever's left standing is the queen, and you're learning all about each one of these sisters' powers and how they're going to vie to be queen, and it's really interesting. The confusing thing, there are a lot of side characters, a lot, and that's what's confusing me, so that's what's kind of making me like, I don't don't think I'm going to give it a full 5 out of 5. So far right now it's reading as a 4 out of 5 for me, but that's okay because I'm still really enjoying it, and I've heard the ending really throws you for a loop, so I can't wait to see what happens, but definitely finish this before October ends. But right now it's pretty much a 4 out of 5. I highly recommend this one. It's definitely a creepy, eerie novel, not scary, just definitely an October vibe for sure. And that was all the books I read in October, and I did read all of the books I was planning to read in October except for one, and that is only because I had used all my renewals up in the library and I had to put it back because it was being held by somebody else, and that is Night Film by Maria Peschel. And I don't know if I'm going to get to it anytime soon. I feel like this is a book definitely to read in October, so I may save it for next year in October. Who knows what I'll do, but I'm sad I didn't get to it because I know a lot of people love that book, but when stuff's due back from the library, what can you do? If you have read any of these books, please let me know. The same way I did. Did you like them more? Did you like them less? Let me know. Let's talk about it on the comments down below. And what books did you read in October? Did you read any creepy ones, or did you just read the same ones you usually read? What do you do? Do a lot of you guys do like a spooky type of TBR for every October? Or let me know. Seriously, I would love to know. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.